So there are three main questions that can make or break your online course or program. And these are questions that I always ask my clients when they're first getting started and starting to develop their ideas. The first one is the 80-20 rule. You want to make sure that you're looking at your program as a shortcut. People don't necessarily, especially these days, want the full course. They don't want to know everything that you know. They don't want to be dumped on. They don't want to become you. People don't want to store the information. They don't necessarily even want to become the expert. Now, if you're learning to be a doctor or a lawyer, then obviously learning and becoming the expert is very key. But for most things that are transformation-based or result-based or outcome-based, people just want to get the result as quickly and as easily as possible. And what they're paying you for is the guidance, experience, and the ability to get the result quickly. So if people want that, then they don't want to become you. So you need to look at your course and look at all the different phases and modules and make sure that you are distilling that down into bite-size and results-orientated phases. So what do I mean by this? Basically, typically when we take the 80-20 rule, which is that normally 20% of what you do brings 80% of the results, and 80% of what you do brings 20% of the results. So what we want to do is look at our program and say, okay, these 20% of things here bring the majority of results. So therefore, I could probably get rid of the other 80% because it's not necessary. Most people will be really happy with 80% of the result that you promise. So therefore, you could say, okay, if we're doing fat loss, I know the shortest way to get you the results. You don't need to know all of the other stuff. If we just do this particular thing, you're going to get 80% of the way there. And then people are going to be really happy and you can sell them the next phase or the next thing to take them to the next level. But we want to look at what we're doing and break it down into that 20% because that's where the gold is. That's when you simplify what you do. That's when you get results for people. That's when you get testimonials. And that's basically where the magic happens. So you really have to look at your program and not try and over deliver by giving people way too much. So look at it and try and distill it down into the key things that are going to bring the biggest bang for their buck, because that's what people truly want these days. The second thing is that we don't have pain, we don't have urgency, we don't actually fix problems that people want to pay for. And what I mean by this is most good courses or most good offers are things that people buy and pay to resolve. Basically is often literally fixing a painful thing, be it something that's causing them stress or mental stress or physical actual pain. Or it's something that elevates their status. So for example, if I'm playing paddle and I want to actually get better, and because that will elevate my status among the other people that I play with, because they'll see that I'm improving, they'll start to respect me, and that basically will improve my status. So when people are learning about hobbies and sports, it's maybe to compete, but it's also about leveling up their status. So there is status that they're paying for within that. But then there are also other things that we want to increase and save, and those are typically around time and money. So you want to look at your program and say, how is this saving people time? And that would be across everything. In terms of making money, getting the result, doing anything like that, we want to do it in the shortest, fastest, easiest way possible. So look to see if you're shortcutting and making it easier for them to basically save time and to make it easier. People want ease. So anything that makes it faster and easier is something that people will generally pay for. And time, after obviously money for people that don't have it, is probably the most precious thing. And for people that do have money, they will actually pay their money to save time. So time is obviously massively important. The next one is then obviously money. Will it make them money or save them money? Now, obviously, there's lots of different niches, but the money side is a really big one. So if your program will make people more money or save people money, then that is typically something that people are going to pay for. So you want to look at your program and make sure it is basically doing one of those things, or multiple, ideally, of those things. Time, money, status, saving them pain, making things easier, removing stress, and so on. So look at your program and make sure it is really doing that. Otherwise, it's something that people will just go, that's nice, I kind of like the idea of it, but maybe I'm not going to pay you money for it. The third one is that we want to have wins. Now, wins and momentums when it comes to your courses is everything. And with people's attention span going out the window almost these days and completion rates of courses being lower than ever, we have to get people engaged as quickly as possible, even with free courses, because I've had people pay for high ticket programs and then just go completely AWOL. disappear completely. So momentum and engagement and getting them connected in the beginning is massively important. It doesn't always matter if they're paying or if it's free. So we want to get people quick wins and get them invested in the process as quickly as possible. And a quick win is typically going to be something that is a win within the first week. So when they get into it, when you're starting anything new, it's tiring. It suddenly feels like work, and the excitement starts to wane. It starts to disappear. We all have that initial hope and excitement when we buy something, because now it feels like I've actually invested. I'm actually going to do it. This is going to be amazing. And then the work begins, and then you start to have doubts, and then you realize how much you don't know. And then you start to think, oh gosh, this is going to be a lot of work and a lot of effort. So again, as that realization pops in, if we're getting them a quick win, then that belief comes, that excitement continues, the momentum continues. So you want to look at your program and go, what can we do in that first week that is going to suddenly get them that win? Sometimes that's something that we give away for free in our lead magnet, but there's no reason why we can't find something else in the paid program that's going to do the win again. Just because we got them a win in the free thing that we gave doesn't mean that it has to be suddenly all serious and very long-term work now in the larger program. We can still give them a bite-sized win to gain that momentum, because that momentum will carry on through the rest of the program. But after that, we also have to look at the time scale. The time scale of your program matters. People can only think so far ahead, especially in this world. So whatever you're doing, you want to make sure that you are getting a result. The big promise of your program is happening within 90 days. 90 days is typically a good window. The faster, the better. But 30 to 90 days, you want to deliver mostly on the promise. Now, that's not to say that there isn't ongoing stuff and that maybe the main or better results can come in 6 months or to a year. Maybe you're doing more and more. Maybe the scaling and improving is later on. But then that could be a different program or something else that you're selling later on. We don't have to build a program that does everything, such as when people are doing business opportunity programs where it's, biz op and you're building an entire business around it. There's a lot of working parts, and to build a business can take a long time. So if you're doing all of those parts and you're thinking of traffic, you're thinking of building the business, setting things up, all the different things they have to learn and organize, and it takes about a year to even see results, most people are going to drop off and fail and give up within that year period. So it's going to be terrible for them, and it's going to be terrible for you in terms of testimonials and results. So it's better to potentially break up what you're doing if there's many big parts to it, and think about what you can get them within a 90-day window. So for example, if I was trying to lose weight, but my end goal was either I wanted to get muscly, I wanted to get big, and I wanted to bulk, well, the initial thing is going to be the shredding part. In 90 days, we'll get you lean so that you can see some muscles and you look good, but then the bulking part would come afterwards. So that could be the next part of the program. But you had delivered pretty much what I potentially wanted, a much better looking body within the 90-day window. So the next part can come after. So we need to be looking at our program and making sure that most of the win and there's early wins, and then what we're delivering can be done in a 90-day window. Otherwise, people just can't see that far ahead. So look at your program, ask those three things. If you're not on target with those three things, then you're probably going to struggle with your online course or program. Now, if you would like more help building your course or program, especially with a community-driven, which is the future of online courses now, is really having a community-driven program where there's more engagement and more support, then I will link to our free group in the video description, where we'll take you through how you can actually build your community-driven program. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.